Louis T. Welcome to the Command Post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. Of course, I'm your Commander-in-Chief, Louis T. Thank you for joining me. It's been a long week, and we've been live every single day except today. We'll be live again tomorrow to preview the first preseason game of the 2022 season versus the Carolina Panthers, the only home game for the Washington Commanders during the 2022 NFL preseason. And so obviously the time this week has been condensed. I haven't had a ton of it. I don't have a lot of it today. Obviously, I would prefer to not come on without my hair done. But this is the only window that I have to get this video done and give you this information. I told you I was going to give away some tickets, so I have to do this video today. And so we'll give those tickets away a little bit later on in the show. But practice was abbreviated today, day 14 of training camp for the Washington Commanders. No pads, a light day. Again, you're preparing for the preseason game, so you weren't going to put these guys through a rigorous day. It's hot outside. All of these things starting to add up as you get into the dog days of summer and camp. So as we approach this first preseason game, not really much to talk about other than the ins and the outs of the upcoming preseason game. J.D. McKissic was back at practice today. That's a great sign. John Bates still on the side field. Same can be said for Cole Turner as well. So the tight end position is going to be hampered, some bit. They're going to be compromised going into the preseason game versus Carolina. Again, it's not a massive deal until it's a massive deal. This is the thing that sucks, is that you want to see these guys. And Ron said this at his presser. And really, that's all I really want to talk to you about is what was said at the podium today. No real, information was disseminated. We got a few tidbits leading into the preseason game about what we should expect from the first preseason game. Joey Sly and Tress Way both spoke at the podium. Tress is probably a media favorite. They love Tress Way. They love talking to him. He's a great dude, a great soundbite, very, very gracious with his time. But you're not going to get anything necessarily that the hardcore fan, cares about. Hell, the lay fan cares about, right? Joey Sly spoke, and he talked about his confidence level, and I do care about the field goal king. I know what Tress is. I don't have to worry about Tress. I treat him like I treat Terry McLaurin. I don't worry about him. I know if he's there and he's healthy and he's playing, I know what I'm going to get. Joey Sly, on the other hand, he's a sly guy. He stepped up to the podium and he talked about his comfort level. And so I learned a lot about Joey Sly that I did not know, because Joey Sly he's jacked. I mean, he's yoked. When you see him, you're like, damn, Joey he's huge, right? And so it didn't really register as to why. And I never really cared enough to go and research. But he, was like, hey, I used to be a linebacker in college. Well, high school, actually. And then going into college, he was a linebacker and a kicker. And he had to essentially choose. And he said initially he was just going to play linebacker. And, if he didn't make it to the NFL, because he's not the biggest guy in the world. And he was like, if I don't make it to the NFL, I'll stay here at Virginia Tech, which is where he went to school. He's from Stafford County. So he's from the area, right? And he's like, if it doesn't work out and I don't make it to the next level, I'll just stay at Virginia Tech as a graduate assistant, learn under one of the best defensive coordinators in college football and continue to grow in that area. And then maybe one day I'll be able to be a defensive coordinator or maybe a head coach one day myself. So he's like, that was the path that he thought he was going to take. And then, out of nowhere, this opportunity comes for him to field goal kick. It had always been something that he had done on the side in high school, and even coming to Blacksburg, to Virginia Tech, that was something that was there on the table, but they were like, hey, we need you to make a decision. And so initially he wanted to play linebacker. Once he saw this is probably not going the way that I would like it to, he made the switch to field goal kicker and had some struggles because he had never really done it full time before. So that's why he said, I missed some kicks. I made some mistakes, things of that nature. I was still learning the position, still learning about how to kick and different nuances of the position, because there's a lot of things that go into field goal kicking. And so I struggled, and that led to me not getting drafted. That led to me not being signed as an undrafted free agent coming out of college. And so, this is how I became a journeyman kicker, essentially, and I continued to hone my craft. And then I got an opportunity. I took advantage of it. And then I got another opportunity. And, last year going into camp, he was the kicker, the place kicker for the Carolina Panthers. And then, he had some hiccups in the preseason and he ended up losing his job. But he kicked his ass off last year in 3 different spots. He was with the Texans, the 49ers, and then us last year. And in all those spots, he was filling in for a kicker that was already the incumbent kicker that just sustained an injury. So they just needed a guy to come in and fill that void until the normal kicker came back. And he was outstanding. He was damn near flawless last year, kicking wise. I think he only missed 3 kicks, and maybe 1 or 2 of them were blocked. I know one was blocked here, right? The kick that he got injured on last season was blocked. So Joey Slye is in a really good spot. He's like, I'm in, the best, mental space of my career. Like I know when I miss a kick, I know why I missed that kick. That's the most important thing for a kicker is why did I miss that kick? He talked about the kicking conditions at FedEx. We know that there's this crazy crosswind. When we look up at the little pole, the uprights, and you see the flag, and it's always, at FedEx, it's always swirling. And you don't know which way it's going to go when you kick the football in the air. You can only, try and play with that thing and look at how you've been kicking the ball in warm-ups and things of that nature and see how the wind is gusting in what direction and hope that it doesn't switch on you. And so it's tough. He's like, a lot of kickers feel like this is one of the toughest venues to kick in. And so if you can kick here, you can kick anywhere. So he feels really confident. That's good to know. And we're hoping to have a big season from him because, again, field goal kicking is huge in this league. And this guy's got a tremendous leg. Now we just need him to make them. Like, he was 4 or 5 in practice, like 3 practices ago. And the only miss was from 60. I need him to bang that home. He had the distance. He just missed. So all the other kicks, I think it was one from like 39, 43, 49, and I want to say like 52, and he made all of those. So if we send him out there for a 57-yarder, I need him to bang that home. That's what the other kickers are doing. All the elite kickers are banging it home from 55 and 56. I don't want Ron to be thinking in his head, I can't send my kicker out here for a 55-yard field goal. In the past, that's been our problem. Like, we can't kick 55-yard field goals. We get into that range, either we got to go for it or we have to punt. If it's 4th and 13 and you're in the range for a 55-yard field goal, you're not going to go for it on 4th and 13. Like, that's not a smart decision. So you have to punt if you don't have a kicker that you can trust to get it there from 55 yards and make it. But if you have a kicker that you can trust from 56 yards and it's 4th and 6, if you want to, you can go for it. But if you know that this kicker can bang it home from 56 yards, you're not even thinking about 4th and 6. You're going to send your field goal kicker out on the field and get these 3 points. That's one of the things that has hurt us. When we've had kickers, they haven't had that leg and the accuracy. Because when we had Dustin Hopkins, he had the leg, he never had the accuracy. His problem was anything over about 53, really anything over 50. I mean, he never. I don't need to go down that road again. He just never would make it, it seemed like. So, and we got tired of saying, well, he's got the leg. I don't want to hear about he's got the leg. I need the accuracy, too. That's the most important thing. So, it's good to have a kicker that I think can nail them from that far, but we need to see him actually nail them from that far. So, I like Joey Slye. I'm hoping that he does good things and secures this job for a very long time because I don't like, just like I don't like being in the quarterback wilderness, I don't like being in the field goal kicking wilderness either. It's not a good, comfortable place to be. It's really dark, cold, and many times disappointing. It's one of those situations you find yourself in. It cost us games last year. I mean, who are we kidding? We probably beat Denver if we have a real field goal kicker. We probably are in that game against Green Bay if we have a real field goal kicker. Like, it impacts games when you don't have a real field goal kicker. That kick that Dustin Hopkins missed against Kansas City, which got him ultimately canned, like, that was a big miss in that game. It changed everything. Momentum-wise, that killed us in that game. We were never the same after he missed that field goal. And we don't even need to go back to 2016 and the missed kicks from Dustin Hopkins there and how that altered that season. We would have made the playoffs 2 years in a row for the first time since 91-92 if he makes a few kicks in that season. Just one in particular over in London against Cincinnati. But again, I don't need to go down that road. You already know this. So Joey Slye is very important. I would like him kicking more extra points than field goals. But look, at some point we're going to need him to make field goals. And hopefully he's able to put them through the uprights. Ron Rivera spoke today. after practice. And really, a lot of the questions were angled towards the first preseason game. Who was going to be in, who was going to be out. So let's talk about that real quick. So guys that are going to be out of this game, okay? Chase Roullier, he's been back at practice. I told you they were working him back in slowly. They're not going to rush him back. This guy had major surgery on his ankle. I've talked about this already. His ankle will never be the same. He's got a metal plate in his ankle. So again, you're not looking to rush this guy back. The goal is to have everybody back and healthy for week 1. Not of the preseason, but the regular season. So they're not interested in Chase Roullier going out there right now. I think next week against Kansas City on the road is the first time we'll see Chase Roullier since the injury he sustained against the Green Bay Packers last season. The tight end position is going to be compromised. I talked about that at the top of the show. I talked about that when the injuries really first happened. I said, I don't expect to see these guys for the first preseason game, and that sucks because that's one of the positions we're really looking forward to seeing. A lot of young guys that we're looking to see if they can take that next step. In the case of a Sammy Reyes or in a John Bates, you're looking to see if they can take that next step. And in the case of a guy like Cole Turner, you just want to see if he can do it and at what level. So, no Cole Turner, that sucks. No John Bates, that sucks. So you're compromised there. Obviously, no Trey Turner. They're guys that have been out of practice. Troy Apke, another guy. No Sadiq Charles. He's going to be out of this game as well. No Cornelius Lucas. He's going to be out of this game as well. All the guys that have been missing practice consistently, those guys aren't going to play in the first preseason game, and that's totally fine. But always, just keep that in mind when you see how some of this may go and how some of it may play out. Understand that we're missing key guys. Even some of these backups are key players with that second unit. So if that unit doesn't look as sharp, you're thinking, man, our depth sucks. Not necessarily. Obviously, the depth takes a hit when you got some guys out with injury. So you go to the guys that are in, who are going to play and play some snaps. Benjamin St-Juste missed practice the last couple of days. Was back today. Again, today was a lighter practice. He's going to play on Saturday. Curtis Samuel. And a lot of people are like, whoa, you don't need to play him. If you're going to get him in a game, he's got to actually play in a game. You can't just say, no, he's not going to play until week 1. The guy barely played football last year. He needs to get out there. He needs to get hit. He needs to feel like he's a real football player. And he needs to be able to go through a game. And it's not even a full game. He needs to be able to go through a game and not feel worse for the wear, right? He's playing in this game. How many snaps? I can't tell you. It could only be 4 snaps, right? But they want him to get in there. They're going to probably try to get him a touch, get him hit, and hopefully have him come out of this thing feeling, again, no worse for the wear. Sammy Reyes. I mean, at this point, it is imperative that he play. I mean, with no John Bates and no Cole Turner and already not having Logan Thomas, it's almost to the point where he has to play. But he's good enough to play. And you know what? He might be starting at tight end. This is a good test for him. Honestly, if he wants to make this team as the 4th tight end, this is an opportunity for him to lock this shit up. To push Curtis Hodges and really, it's just Hodges to me that has a chance to unseat him as the 4th tight end and make this team. If you want to just really shut that noise down and once and for all say, look, none of these new guys that just got here are better than me and are going to unseat me. Here's your opportunity. Because more likely than not, Sammy Reyes is starting tonight at tight end. With all the injuries, he's probably TE1 tonight. And he's going to get significant snaps. More likely than not, when the starters leave the game, he's probably going to still be in the game. So I'm looking forward to seeing 80 and seeing some of the development of 80 and seeing if he looks more fluid on the field, if he looks more sure of himself, if he's catching the football cleanly, if they do decide to throw it to him. There's a lot that I want to see from number 80 tonight because a lot of you had given up on this experiment. You guys were like, yeah, he's not making the team. I've given up on the Sammy Reyes experiment. That was cute. It was a great story. I'm ready to move on to the next guy. I'm not, however. I was big on Sammy's last year when we got him. I said I wanted to see this thing through, and I'm dying to see where we are in the process in terms of his growth and development as a player. So here's a great opportunity for him. He may never get another opportunity like the one he's going to get tonight to actually start the game with other guys that are going to be playing on Sundays. Like normally, if he's starting a game, it's because the second or the third team is in the game. No, you're starting with the ones. So he's got to take advantage of this opportunity. Even if he doesn't touch the football as a blocker, he needs to be able to show and prove tonight. And J.D. McKissic was back at practice today after missing a couple or a few practices due to a non-injury related situation. Good to have him back. Hope everything's okay with him, but he will be playing in the game on Saturday as well. Quickly, let's go over what Ron had to say. He reiterated that you don't want to leave out Jahan Dotson in the punt discussion, even though we've narrowed it down to two guys. I talked about this on the very last show that we had, that this punt return thing is down to two guys. I told you at practice, the only guys fielding punts at this point are Alex Erickson and Dax Milne. And so really the discussion, and we had this discussion yesterday, so I really don't need to do this again, but for those of you who may have missed yesterday's discussion, this is it in a nutshell. Dax Milne is going to make this football team. The question is, does Dax Milne handle the punt and kickoff return duties in addition to being the first backup, the primary backup to all of the guys at every position at the wide receiver position if you get into an emergency situation? So Dyami Brown is the first backup to Jahan Dotson, right? If I'm not mistaken. Dyami Brown is the first backup to Terry McLaurin. And Cam Sims is the first backup to Jahan Dotson. And Dax Milne is the first backup technically to Curtis Samuel, but he can also play each of the other two wide receivers, the X and the Z. So he's invaluable. He's going to make the football team as Dax Milne. The question is, can he also handle the responsibility of punt duties? If so, then they don't need Alex Erickson. He doesn't serve another purpose as a receiver, really. He's more of just a return specialist. That would make way for a guy like Marken Michel to make the football team. But if Marken Michel doesn't prove himself worthy of a roster spot, then they can just keep Alex Erickson and take that off of Dax Milne's plate. So there's still this discussion of whether you want to reserve that roster spot for a specialist like Alex Erickson, or even allocate that roster spot somewhere else. Maybe keep an extra defensive back. Maybe keep an extra offensive lineman. Maybe keep an extra, defensive end or something like that. So, it could go in a number of different ways. But Ron made it a point of emphasis to say, hey, don't forget about Jahan. He's been fielding punts in camp as well. We know that he really didn't want to put him back there. But I think, and I said this, and I actually advocated for this. In certain situations, similar to Deshaun Jackson early in his career, you don't put him back there all the time. But yes, in big spots, you do stick him back there. I do think that exists, because if Dax Milne is your punt returner, you're not going to have explosive punt returns. Now, Alex Erickson is a different animal. He's a seasoned veteran kickoff and punt return guy with explosive capabilities. Now, he also fumbles the ball too, but that's still an interesting dynamic. Ron wanted to make sure you didn't forget about Jahan Dotson. We hear you loud and clear, Ron. He said that the starters, both sides of the football, 15 to 20 snaps. Obviously, that's what you go into the game saying. But if the offense has a beautiful 12-play drive to start, they're done. They're not going to play 15 to 20 snaps. They're not coming back after a 12-play, 75-yard touchdown march that's capped off by a 2-yard Antonio Gibson touchdown run. They're not coming back after that. They're done. Okay? Same with the defense. If the defense goes out, gets 2 3-and-outs to start, let's say Carolina gets the football first, 3-and-out by the defense. Offense gets it, marches down 12 plays. Let's call it 81 yards. 12 plays, 81 yards, capped off by a 2-yard Antonio Gibson touchdown run. And then the defense goes back out there and gets a 3-and-out, and that's 6 plays for them, but it's 2 dominant possessions. They're probably done too, okay? Now the first quarter is pretty much done. They're probably done, right? So he can say 15 to 20 snaps. That's ideal, but they're probably not going to play any more than that. But they may not play anywhere near that either. So it's all about how the game flows. Obviously, if the Panthers get 2 or 3 first downs on the first possession and that ends up being an 8-play drive and they settle for a field goal, then the defense may go back out there one more time, right? But if they're clean on 2 straight possessions and it's sandwiched, with a offensive possession that is flawless, no, they're done. Everybody's done for the night. So 15 to 20 snaps. There won't be more than 20 more likely than not, right? But that's the number that he's targeting. Cornelius Lucas and Sadiq Charles are both coming along. Both of them are getting close to returning to action. Talked about Cornelius Lucas in particular, starting to hit bags and starting to do things that are physically demanding, which means he's ramping up his activity to get back onto the practice field to ultimately be ready probably for the second preseason game, which is the dress rehearsal versus Kansas City. Warren Sapp talked about the defensive line. He was out at practice the last 2 days, not today, but the 2 days prior, he was at practice, and they spoke to him. I think I heard him on NBC Washington, NBC Sports Washington, and he was talking about those bowling ball of butcher knives. He loves to talk about those guys inside. He loves Allen and Payne and Phidarian Mathis. He thinks these guys have a chance to be really dominant, especially Allen and Payne inside. And he can't say enough good things about these guys and what he feels like they can do. He talked about this group needing to play together. He was imparting knowledge on Montez Sweat and company. These guys, I heard Jonathan Allen say, anytime you can pick the brain of a guy like Warren Sapp, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame, Super Bowl winning player, you got to do that. You got to take heed to what he says. And so, what he's saying isn't falling on deaf ears. We hear him loud and clear, and we want to go out there and execute the way that he did when he played. And so there's a lot of that kind of building right now. It's like this defense feels, especially this defensive line, feels like it's bubbling beneath the surface, and they just need something to help them explode like a volcano, so to speak. Maybe the firing of Sam Mills and maybe the presence of Warren Sapp throughout camp, along with Jeff Sonina, is what this defensive line needs to take that next step. So it's always good to hear from Warren Sapp. He's always got something, funny to say. There was a line in there that made me chuckle because it's a Warren Sapp type of line. I can't remember what it was exactly, but typical Warren Sapp with his Sappisms, as I like to call it. He's a national treasure. I love Warren Sapp. So that in essence is, what I have for you today. Tomorrow will be more about the preseason game itself. We'll talk about what we should be looking for in that first preseason game, or what I'll be looking for in particular, and kind of really get you up to speed on what you should be looking for heading into the first preseason game against the Carolina Panthers. So got some tickets to give away. Surprisingly, I thought there would be more people interested in going to the very first game of the Washington Commanders, right? The new end zones being painted, the new jerseys coming out for the first time. I get it. It's a preseason game. You got better shit to do. I have better shit to do. I get it, right? But I thought more people would be interested. Nobody was interested except for two people. And one of them isn't even a member of the MOBB. So he's getting away here, okay? But since only two people wanted to go to the game, only two people used the hashtag, right? Preseason, meaning nobody else wanted to go. Johnny68740. My guy, you're going to the preseason game. I got 2 tickets for you. Find somebody you want to go with you. You're going to the game. And I got to say this right now. Viral Hip Hop News. My guy, Viral Hip Hop News. Go check his channel out over on IG and YouTube. Just type in Viral Hip Hop News and you'll find him. Awesome dude. He did the same thing last year. He's doing it again this year. He donated 2 tickets last year to the preseason games. He donated 2 more tickets this year as well. So shout out to my guy, Viral Hip Hop News. He does not want any credit. I said, bro, I'm giving you credit anyway. You deserve it. I so appreciate him for this gesture. So I got an additional 2 tickets to give away. Okay, so Johnny would have been the only one getting tickets, but since Viral Hip Hop News decided to bless the movement with a couple of tickets, I've got 2 more tickets to give away, and that's where Marilyn Mady YP comes into play. Not a member of the mob, but hey, you're still family, and so you, my friend, wanted the tickets. You have the tickets. All you have to do, all you and Johnny68740 have to do is email me, your man Louis T, okay, Louis T Network at gmail.com. Email me and say, hey, I am fill in the blank. Johnny, whatever. And then I will find a way, we will find a way to verify that. So I'm not just giving the tickets away to some rando, right? And I can transfer you the tickets. So all you have to do is email me now. Johnny68740. Email me at louistnetwork@gmail.com. And we will get the particulars hammered out. Same with Marilyn Mady YP. Okay? Marilyn Mady YP. Email me at louistnetwork@gmail.com. Okay? louistnetwork@gmail.com. And we will get the particulars hammered out. And I will send you the tickets. The tickets that Viral Hip Hop News sent me are actually better than the tickets that I have. So, Johnny, you get those tickets, right? Because you're the mob member. And Marilyn Mady, you get the other tickets. So, you guys hit me up. I look forward to sending you these tickets so you can be in attendance. And all I ever ask of someone that goes to a game in which I send you tickets is that you just have a great time and you just tell me how it was. That's it. If it's a regular season game, then there's one more stipulation that I put on top of that, and that's bring home the dub. You don't have to do that in the preseason. I'd like the dub, but that's not a mandatory thing, okay? That's not a mandatory ask. Here, I just want you to have fun and just let me know how it was. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louis T, here on this installment of the Command Post. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow when we'll be live again, breaking down the preview for the first preseason game as the Washington Commanders. It's a new chapter, it's a new day, and this will be the first game as the Washington Commanders. So we'll talk about that at greater lengths tomorrow, live on this channel. Until then, I am your man, Louis T, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, post up and take command. You guys know what it is. I'm probably going to be around a lot later on tonight. There's a lot of preseason ball on, so I'll probably be on later on tonight live talking about some of this preseason ball. So if you're up, you ain't got shit to do, come check your man out. But until then, you guys have a good one. Louis T Network.